Are you tired of constantly dying to floor 1 bosses? Are you done with dying to the Gatling Gull? Well, I have the solution for you. It's called Gunroids. Nah, I'm just kidding. In this guide, I'm going to teach you my tips and tricks on how to defeat the Chamber 1 bosses. That way, you can get more consistent runs into Chamber 2, 3, 4, and even beat the game. But before I get into anything, I've already made a general Enter the Gungeon guide, so if you haven't seen that yet, then make sure you check that out. Now the first thing I want to say before I get into the nitty-gritty details of each boss, I actually covered this in my other Gungeon guide. The main strategy that you're going to want to take against almost every single boss in Enter the Gungeon is you're going to want to circle around them in a way that the bosses are following behind you and not cornering you. Generally, you want to try and lead the boss into a corner, and that way you can basically lead the boss from corner to corner, and that way you're never ever stuck in the corner with the boss in the center. You never want to let the boss in the center, basically. This is done basically just by patrolling the perimeter of the room, circling around them. Obviously, sometimes you may still get trapped by, whether it be by minions, by too many bullets, and such, but this strategy is what you're going to want to stick to as much as possible. Alright, without further ado, let's get into the very first boss. In my opinion, the easiest Chamber 1 boss is Gatling Gull. Now, Gatling Gull has a few different types of maps that he can spawn in. Firstly, he can spawn in an open grass map. This is the map where there's 4 explosive barrels lying around and a lot of bushes. On this map, the first thing you want to do is to shoot the barrels so that you don't accidentally blow yourself up, or that Gatling Gull doesn't get a sneaky explosion on you. And for the bushes, you can, if you want to clear the bushes, you can do that, but generally I just let Gatling Gull clear them out himself because they do provide a bit of shelter at the beginning of the fight. The next room that the Gatling Gull can spawn in is the indoor room with pillars. So this room I'd say is probably the easiest one because you can hide behind the walls and get around them very easily. There's also tables in that room that you can use to create more shelter for yourself. The final room that the Gatling Gull can spawn in is the one with pits. I would say this is probably the most difficult version of Gatling Gull. Generally for this room you want to stay on the edge of the room so that the pit separates you and Gatling Gull, and instead of circling around him like you're gonna do, you're just gonna have to weave up and down in between the bullets. Okay, so for Gatling Gull's main attack patterns, I would say that there's 3 main attacks that you have to watch out for. The first one is the spread shot. So basically this is when Gatling Gull is directly targeting you and he just shoots a volley of bullets that spread around. So basically what you want to do is you want to walk around him in a circle because honestly, Gatling Gull has P-brain aim. He's not going to hit you unless you get like really close to him. Depending on whichever room you're in, you might have to hide behind something or like try and get away from him and reposition, but generally all you have to do is circle around him at a safe distance and he shouldn't be able to hit you. The next type of attack that Gatling Gull can use are his screen-wide attacks. So this could be when he shoots a screen-wide bullet from his gun, or if he shoots the little orb that when it hits the wall it'll then explode into a screen-wide attack. Basically, when you see he's about to do this, usually there's a charge animation. You want to get as far away as possible because these types of attacks, the further they travel, the bullets will spread out from each other, which will give you a lot more space to dodge them. But depending on what room you're in, you can even hide behind walls if you can, which will make it a lot easier to dodge this. The final attack pattern that you need to worry about is when Gatling Gull flies around and then starts shooting rockets. So basically, this is the best moment for you to get damage because you can get very close to him and deal upfront damage for a couple seconds. You just need to watch out because he will target you with the rockets and you're just gonna have to slowly like walk around. You don't have to panic or anything because he doesn't shoot that many rockets, so just slowly moving around him will allow you to stay close to him and keep dealing a lot of damage. You just need to be wary of when he stops doing the rocket attacks and will start shooting his spread shot again. Okay, next up we have the Bullet King. Now, the Bullet King is very notorious for making me rage at this game because even though he's not the hardest Chamber 1 boss in my opinion, I somehow always get hit by him, so I hope that I can save some of you some happiness and not breaking your computer screens. The first thing that you're going to want to do against the Bullet King right when you enter the room is kill the little guy that's standing to the Bullet King's left. I believe his name is the Chancellor. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Out of all the Chamber 1 bosses, the Bullet King has the most attack patterns. Most of these patterns by themselves aren't too bad to dodge, but he'll sometimes attack multiple times in quick succession. The most important tip in these cases is that if you can't weave through the bullets and you must dodge roll, then make sure you don't dodge roll towards the Bullet King. After enough practice, you'll be able to tell when he's gonna do successive attacks, and then you can prepare yourself for a dodge roll in those cases. The next attack that the Bullet King can do is throw a fire grenade. One thing to note is that if you shoot the fire grenade or hit your body into it, then it'll stop moving. Generally, the grenade is not much of a worry in this fight. Just remember that if you catch on fire to stop, drop, and roll. Now, the attack that really grinds my gears is when he stops moving and he starts spinning around shooting bullets in every single direction. For this attack, you'll want to get as far away from him as possible. The bullets fan out the further they travel, which makes it easier to dodge this attack. To dodge it more efficiently, you're going to have this fluid motion of going up, down, up, down, up, down, because that's the line that the bullets take when you're dodging this. Finally, another attribute that the Bullet King has is that he actually floats, so he's not affected by the Convict's Molotov, so that's just one other thing to take note of. Okay, finally is, in my opinion, the most difficult Chamber 1 boss, and that's the Bullet Twins. You know, twice the boss, twice the fun. That's what I always say. Now, a bit of information on the Bullet Twins. Shades, the one with shades obviously because he's cool, he uses a shotgun/pistol. So when he switches to his shotgun mode, it'll shoot a spread shot of 3 bullets, I believe. Smiley uses a machine gun/pistol, so when he switches to his machine gun, it'll shoot a stream of bullets. The general strategy that I take when I'm doing this boss battle is I focus on a single one of the twins. You want to kill one as fast as possible because dealing with a single one after one is already dead is already much easier. Generally, the rage mode after killing one is not as hard as dealing with both at the same time, because if there's 2 on the battlefield, then there's a high chance that you could get pincered or cornered. Another thing to note is that after one of the twins dies, then they'll stop spawning their minions, so that's just one less factor for you to consider. Speaking of minions, when the minions spawn in, you're going to want to kill them as fast as possible because the minions don't naturally despawn, so they're just going to clutter up the area and make this boss fight even more difficult. The goal for this boss fight is that you're going to want to try and keep both of the twins as far away as possible. It's especially dangerous when they split apart because then you can't focus on both at the same time and you could get pincered by them. You have to always make sure that you're aware of both of their locations even if one is off screen, because if you don't keep track of them, then when you're trying to run away from one, you might run into the other. And finishing off with the rage mode, you're going to want to use the same strategy that you use with the other bosses of just circling around them and trying to dodge and weave their bullets. So hopefully this guide has helped you learn a bit more about the game and will help you in your future runs, and I wish you all the best. Quick thing before you leave, insert typical YouTuber, this many percentage of you are subscribed, please subscribe, I'm begging. I'm just kidding, I'm not begging.